Hello and welcome to another video session of geekvale. We're going to talk about speed. It's something that plays a very vital role when you're working on word problems and real world problems. It plays a very vital role and you need to have a very clear picture of the concept, what speed is. So let's look into that first, get rid of that. Okay, suppose a person, let's say person 1, is covering a distance from position A to a position B, and he covers that distance in, let's say, 3 minutes. Another person, person 2, covers the distance from position A to position B in, let's say, 2 minutes. Now let's say the distance between A and B, distance AB, let's say it's 6 meters. Although it's pretty slow, right, to cover that small distance in that much of time, but let's just presume that. Okay, so I can say that person 1 is covering 6 meters in 3 minutes. In other words, 3 minutes, it should be like that. Okay, 6 meters in 3 minutes. In other words, I can say this person is covering 2 meters per minute, right? That would be the rate of movement for this person, person 1. Now, person 2 covered this similar distance in 2 minutes. So we can say that he covered 6 meters in 2 minutes, and for that person we can say that he is moving at a rate of 3 meters per minute. This is person 2. Now person 1 is moving at a rate of 2 meters per minute, and person 2 is moving at a rate of 3 meters per minute. Who is moving fast? Person 2. How did we define the rate of movement? The distance with respect to the time. The distance they are moving with respect to the time which they took to cover that distance. Or in other words, you can say the change in the distance with the change in the time, right? The more the distance you cover, the less amount of time, the faster you are moving. In this case, since we have similar distances, but the difference was the time. One body was covering the same distance in 3 minutes. The second person was covering the same distance in 2 minutes. So that's how we know that he was moving at a faster pace. And to figure out the rate of movement, we did what? We took the distance and divided with the time to find their rate of movement. And that's what you call speed. Speed is distance over time. Very important thing now is to know the units of speed. Whenever you measure something which is measurable, when I say measurable, like you cannot measure the temperament of a person, you cannot measure the feelings of someone, but you can measure the weight, certainly. You can measure the speed of a person. So things which are measurable, you must have units for those things. Like speed, like weight, for example, weight is measured in kilogram. Weight is measured in kilogram. Like length, for example, someone's height is measured in meters or feet, maybe. Yeah. The similar way, speed has different units depending upon what unit you are using for distance and what unit you are using for time. For example, if I'm measuring my distance in meters and time is measured in seconds. So the units for my speed will be meters per second. You can represent it that way, or you can represent it that way, meters per second. Suppose if the distance is measured in miles and the time is measured in hours. That way, make a guess, it's miles per hour. Another very important unit, very useful, sometime you might have seen it, the speed of your vehicle or the speed of a cricket bowler. Yeah, if the body is moving the distance, that the unit that you're using for the distance is kilometer, and the unit that you're using to measure time is hour, then the unit is kilometers per hour. So now if you have a clear picture of what speed is and how you can find speed, what two things that are necessary, the distance and time, and how it varies with respect to time or with respect to distance as well. Yes, that is also very important. If something is covering a distance of let's say 6 meters in 2 minutes, and another thing is covering a distance of 12 meters in 2 minutes, yeah, we can also say that this body is moving at a faster rate, right? Because it took the same time to cover a bigger distance. Right now we discussed the case when the bodies, two persons, person 1 and person 2, covered the same distance in different times. What if two bodies, two person, covers different distances in same amount of time? Like if I say person 1, I'm gonna rub it out. Person 1 took a time of 3 minutes to cover 12 meters, and person 2 took the same amount of time to cover 24 meters. Now look at that. The movement rate for person 1 in this case will be 12 divided by 3 will be 4 meters per minute. While for this one, it will be 8 meters per minute. So we got another thing, that if the body is covering, if two bodies that we are comparing, one of them is covering bigger distance in the same amount of time, then we can also say that this is also moving at a faster pace, at a faster rate, in other words. And so from there we can conclude that speed depends on both of these, distance as well as time, and the rate of distance with respect to time is what you call speed. And that's pretty much it. The second lecture, which is relevant to that, about the distance time graph and the slope of distance time graph, will be the second part of this video lecture. Make sure to see that. It's also very helpful. Thank you.